What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another Donna Adelson video, and her daughter Wendy Adelson had a boyfriend at the time that Dan Markel was unalived, and his name was Jeffrey Lacasse, and he testified on day 3, and these are some of the highlights from his testimony. So this first clip I'm going to show, they ask if Wendy Adelson wanted to relocate to South Florida.
Relocate to South Florida?
Yes, she did, very badly.
And why did she want to relocate to South Florida?
She preferred to be down there with her family. She also hated Tallahassee. That's in my original, police statements. It was almost a daily topic of conversation how much she disliked Tallahassee. So it was supposed she really disliked Tallahassee. She preferred to be in Miami. On our second date, she broke into tears talking about relocation and abruptly ended the date. I mean, it was still very visceral, very important to her.
All right, and that was shortly after the relocation had been denied, is that right?
Yeah, that would have been last week of September, so a couple months after it was fresh then, yeah.
So apparently at some point, Donna Adelson began making disparaging remarks about Dan Markel to the kids, and Markel found out about it, and he got a court order to where she couldn't be around the kids. And they were asking Jeffrey Lacasse if he knew about that.
And if you know, did Wendy take that particular filing seriously? Was she upset about that or worried about that?
Yes, every time there was a motion, they took it very seriously, and I had reported to the police that it was disruptive on the relationship because every time something was filed, dates would get canceled, Wendy would be in a mood, Wendy would be upset, so.
When you say they took it seriously, who are you referencing?
The entire family, but Wendy was the person I was having contact with. But it was known to me that the whole family was upset.
And then they asked him if Donna Adelson was involved in Wendy Adelson's life and the extent of it.
Let's keep it specific to Donna, if you don't mind. Was Donna Adelson very involved in her daughter's life?
Yes, absolutely.
Was she very involved in her daughter's divorce litigation?
Yes.
And I say divorce, I know the divorce was already final. I'm referencing the subsequent litigation as well.
Yes.
And we've heard about this dinner that Charlie, Katie, and Wendy all had together before, but this will be from his perspective. So they were asking, like, if during this dinner did Dan Markel come up at all?
Was it your impression or knowledge that this was the first meeting between Wendy Adelson and Catherine Magbanua?
That was my impression. There was a lot of getting to know you talk type stuff.
All right. At the dinner table, did the subject of Dan Markel come up?
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of specifics, but I think it came up kind of briefly. There was a lot of talk about Wendy's book. I remember that part.
Okay. And at the dinner table, did Catherine Magbanua's ex come up at all?
Yes.
Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, that stood out because Katie mentioned that she had her children's father was always getting in trouble with the police and had a violent criminal record. I'm paraphrasing, but it sounded like non-parking tickets. It sounded pretty bad, and it stuck in my memory for that reason.
So in this next clip, they're going to talk about remarks that Charlie Adelson made after the dinner when they were back at his house in his hot tub.
Yes, I do. There was a couple of statements in the hot tub.
Okay.
One was about the fact that Charlie knew people on both sides of the tracks, that he hung out with professionals, dentists, doctors, etc. But he also knew, was familiar, had social contacts that were in the criminal element. And he's kind of bragging, and he kind of specifically mentioned Cuban neighborhoods as a place where you would find that criminal element.
He was asked if he noticed that the TV was broken, and this is what he said.
Was there a time when you were over at Ms. Adelson's residence and you observed that her TV was broken?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that. When did that occur?
That would have been around the week of June 11th to 18th, somewhere in that time period. I went over Wendy's to spend time with her and the kids, and she asked me to take a look at the television. I turned it on. She said there was a problem with the TV, so I turned it on expecting to see like input 1 flashing, or the kids pushed the wrong button or whatever. And what I'm looking at when I turn it on is a screen that's been partially shattered, that's been struck by an object.
All right, and did she tell you what happened to the TV, how it got into that
No, she kind of
state?
asked me to look into the TV as if, she didn't know. I looked around. It was impossible to me that it's impossible to me that the kids would have done it, but I didn't know the, better explanation at the time. So I was kind of mystified as to what happened. I mean, it looked like a human being stood, between 5 and 6 foot, something like that. It stood in front of it and hit it. That's what it looked like. But she was asking me.
Okay, so it was like an impact mark, like a round impact with spider webs.
Exactly. Then the pixels are distorted. Most people have probably seen this. So it's, and it wasn't completely shattered. You could sort of see what was going on the television, but it's not a TV anybody would normally watch.
Okay.
And then in this last clip, he was asked about a text message that Wendy sent to her brother Robert.
Have you ever had a chance to review this text message before?
Yeah, you showed this to me last week.
All right, and this message had never been shown to you before last week, right?
Right.
And it's been testified that this was from Wendy Adelson to her brother Rob Adelson, but it concerns you.
Yes.
Is there anything factually incorrect in what Wendy Adelson is stating in that text message?
Well, when she says I haven't told mom and dad about me, I met them multiple times. It's impossible that they didn't know we were dating. For example, I was aware that Donna wasn't thrilled that I wasn't Jewish, So that doesn't add it. This doesn't make sense to me in terms of like seeing me for 6 or 7 months.
So in that text message, she's saying, that you're a secret boyfriend from the parents. Were you a secret boyfriend from the parents at that time?
It's implausible. No, I don't think so.
In fact, you'd met the parents several times.
Yeah, and had conversations with them, limited conversations, but conversations. And the other part that's, I think, really significant is the kids talked about me constantly. I have all kinds of text messages and emails where Wendy's mentioning the kids are down in South Florida talking about me.
So stay tuned for part 2 and we'll get the rest of his testimony. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please hit the like.
This session is adjourned.